What is mental health? A classic textbook definition is that it is psychological and emotional well-being of an individual, and one can have good or bad mental health. A very black and white idea. Around this, there is a stigma. When one is suffering from a mental illness, there are many stereotypes that an individual can be deemed as: incompetent, dangerous, unpredictable, or hopeless. Again, another example we use to enforce more contrast between good and bad well-being. This is the issue that needs to be addressed. Unlike a physical disease or illness, there is not one single form of microbe or pathogen attempting to take over one's body. Instead, it's developed by the mind. Its causes can range from trauma, environmental stresses such as death, divorce, abuse, or even just pure biology, an imbalance of chemicals in the brain. There are a variety of causes all linked when the human brain is pushed to its limits. First of all, we must understand that within our homes, our communities, our countries, and our planet as a whole, there is still a great lack of understanding within the subject. As a world, 450 million out of 7.6 billion people have some form of mental illness. This is number 2 high. Out of this, men and women, fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters are being subjected to one of the most difficult human hardships. Within this very same community, people have created stereotypes dictating that the mentally ill are dangerous, violent, or indolent. People who should be avoided, uncared for, and remain forgotten. 1 in 4 people will experience a mental health problem in their life. So that means the next time you're sat in your office, your classroom, or you're at home, wherever you may be around others, it is possible that anyone, could be suffering from such poor mental health. It is invisible to the human eye, just as it cannot see the microbes causing a physical disease. Nonetheless, it still exists. Secondly, mental illness not only affects adults, but also affects children. Illness such as these are not bound to a certain age group, just like how a physical disease is not restricted. About 1 in 10 children will experience a form of mental illness. Again, a child can also be forced to experience trauma, death, and other hardships, yet they still are new and naive to the world. Some of these very same children face discrimination, being viewed as liars, negligent, or harmful, all of which are stereotypes that need to be avoided. Within homes, schools, communities, we need to help spread awareness to young people in order to stop such prejudice and improve the lives of generations yet to come. Our current generations wish and pray for a brighter tomorrow, but in order for that to happen, we must consider mental health and the suffering it can cause for an individual. But how can we improve the state of our communities? Humanity is defined as the quality of being humane, compassionate, kind, and understanding, a definition that is the first step to help improve our mental well-being as we learn to be respectful and understand of those already ill, and that they are not issues to be swept under the rug for another day. We also need to consider that those who are feeling like this may require just time to consider, time to understand, or perhaps just time to forget. Such issues can't just be solved by going to sleep or waiting a day or 2. Furthermore, we need to understand that we need to prevent what can cause a mental illness, such as abuse, trauma, hate, and violence. For this, we need to look past ourselves and look at the broader picture. Understand that we need to look past our physical differences, someone's beliefs and virtues, as well as see that not everything is about ourselves. What we do and say will have an effect on everyone around us. Overall, we need to educate ourselves on the stigma surrounding mental health and to learn from our mistakes in order to prevent numbers of those suffering from rising so high, as well as treat those already going through it. Any questions?
What are the current treatments?
Currently, in order to treat a mental health problem, one can receive more spoken-based treatments such as counselling or seeing their GP. If one is suffering from a more severe case, then it is possible to go into the hospital to be treated, especially in more life-threatening scenarios. Psychiatric medicine is also available. They do not cure the individual, but only ease the symptoms. For example, there are antidepressants, which are commonly used for those experiencing depression, OCD, or eating disorders. There are also antipsychotics, which are used for psychosis or people with schizophrenia.
What are the signs of a mental health problem?
Mental illnesses come in many different forms, each having slightly different symptoms. For example, an individual with depression may have psychological symptoms such as low moods, a lack of enjoyment, a feeling of hopelessness, or maybe low self-esteem. While physically, they may have a loss of appetite or unexplained aches and pains. Meanwhile, someone with an anxiety disorder may experience panic and uneasiness, sleep problems, shortness of breath, or perhaps nausea or dizziness. Each case will affect one differently, however, as there are varying degrees, and it also is affected by what has caused it in the first place.